We've been around since 1915. And what we do is we handle all incoming water supply and the installation, testing, maintenance, and repair of automated integrated overhead fire suppression systems. So we're not talking lawn sprinklers, we're talking life safety systems. There are actually 2,000 different types of sprinkler heads. 80% of what we put in is water-based, but the other 20% could be chemical, they could be foam, they could be antifreeze, they could be gas systems. You think of a petrochemical fire, water is not going to suppress that source. We are part of what's called the United Association, which is the pipe trades. It's the United Association of Journey Worker and Apprentice. Whoop, getting ahead of my animation on this slide here. Here we go. Isn't that nice and cheesy? The United Association of Welders, Plumbers, Pipe Fitters, Steam Fitters, HVAC refrigeration techs, and sprinkler fitters. So that's the pipe trades, commonly called the UA. The UA has been around for 130 years. We have 355,000 members. So this is our international. We're in 300 locations across North America with 225 affiliate locals. And we are the largest local in the United Association. So 669 is part of something bigger, and that's the UA. The UA is also part of something bigger, and that's called the North American Building Trades Union. Now let's think about building a commercial building. Who's involved in that? And a lot of people say, well, construction workers. But what do these construction workers do? And all you have to do is just look around your classroom, or you look around and you look at the floor, you look at the windows, you look at the roof. Maybe you go behind the panels and you see all kinds of electrical wires and you see plumbing. But who's involved? There's 15 trades involved. And it starts with the operating engineers. Those are the heavy equipment operators. The electricians, which is the IBEW. The Teamsters is part of NAP2. They bring the product to and from the job site. One of the original trades is the bricklayers and masons. If it's a multi-story building, maybe there's an elevator. There's elevator constructors. Painters and glazers is a separate union. LIUNA, which is the laborers union, actually has over 500,000 members in North America. The plasters and masons, cement masons. SMART, and this slide's a little jumbled up, so please forgive me. SMART stands for the sheet metal workers. The International Brotherhood of Roofers, the boiler makers, the waterproofers, the iron workers, and then the carpenters. So 15 different trades. We all work together to build buildings, but we're more than what the trades itself are, the craft itself is. So unions, again, we're more than what we do. We're the people. We are in the people business. So where do we come from? So I've got a short video that's going to talk about where sprinkler fitters came from, but also it's going to really get into the rise of organized labor in America because of unsafe work practices and unhealthy treatment of people. And that's really where we came from and why we're strong today. To ensure that people have a safe work environment and are being treated fairly. So we're going to jump on the History Channel, and this is going to be a reminder or take you back to your U.S. history class.
The Triangle Shirtwaist factory fire was a man-made disaster, a tragedy of the industrial age, made all the worse because it could have been prevented. Let me set the scene. New York City, early 20th century. The Triangle Shirtwaist Factory occupied several floors of a Manhattan business building called the Ash Building. It was located just off Washington Square Park, one of the wealthiest neighborhoods in the city. The Triangle Shirtwaist Factory was, by almost any definition, a sweatshop. It was a densely packed place. Some 500 people worked there, and the work schedule was punishing. 11 to 12 hours a day, every day. Most of the people employed at the factory were young immigrant women, teenagers even, who didn't speak English. These women sat at long tables, day in, day out, sewing shirtwaists. Shirtwaists were mass-produced blouses. They resembled men's shirts and were very popular with working women. So here's what happened. March 25th, 1911, Saturday evening, the end of the workday, the work week. A fire started in a bin of cotton scraps, perhaps from a cigarette butt. A manager tried to use a hose to put it out, but the hose valve was rusted shut, and the hose itself was rotted away. The factory floor didn't have a sprinkler system, so the fire spread quickly. People panicked. The building had only one flimsy fire escape, and it wasn't nearly big enough. It collapsed. The building had 4 elevators, but only one was working, and it only held 12 people at a time. It managed to make 4 rescue trips before it broke down. Some desperate workers jumped to their deaths down the elevator shaft. Workers tried to take the stairs, but the exit doors only opened inward, and they were kept locked by factory management. Many people were crushed to death trying to get out. Firefighting technology hadn't caught up to the new tall buildings of a city like New York. The fire hoses and ladders could only reach the 7th floor, 1 floor short of the fire. Dozens of desperate workers jumped out of the windows. They chose to die from the fall instead of the flames. Other workers burned to death or died from smoke inhalation. The whole episode lasted just 18 minutes. 144 people were dead. 2 more died later in the hospital, bringing the death toll to 146. Until the events of September 11th, it was the deadliest workplace disaster in New York City history. Days later, on April 5th, a massive funeral protest march took place on 5th Avenue in Manhattan. More than 350,000 people were in attendance. The factory owners, Max Blanc and Isaac Harris, were indicted for manslaughter, but were declared not guilty in their trial later that year. Yet, long after the flames died out, the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire served as a cautionary tale that helped to redefine the American industrial workplace. The fire was a key moment in the growth of labor unions, particularly the ILGWU, or International Ladies Garment Workers Union. New York City passed measures including the Sullivan-Hoey Fire Prevention Law, which required sprinkler systems to be installed in all factories. It served as a model for state and national workplace safety codes. These measures made American workers safer, but they were too late for the workers who perished one terrible March day at the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory. The Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire was a man-made.
Okay, so things that we take for granted today, and where unions came from. OSHA is an example. Fire codes, minimum wage, the weekend, child labor laws. So 9 and 10-year-old women were working in that factory. And if you go back to the History Channel again on YouTube, you'll see signage that says, why pay a man $1 a day when you can pay a woman or a child 10 cents? So people were being taken advantage of. Proper exit signs, fire escapes, all these things that we take for granted, they came from the influence of organized labor. There's something else besides protecting work environments and protecting people that unions have done since we've been around, and that's train. So let's go down to the chemistry lab and let's talk about what is an apprenticeship. And maybe you've heard this term before, but a registered union apprenticeship is a collaboration, a combination of on-the-job training and technical instruction. All right, it's not one or the other, it's both. Registered apprenticeship, and I want to talk about a misused word today. Apprenticeship is misused. You hear it everywhere. We've got this apprenticeship. Some of these apprenticeships that are advertised are 1 month, a weekend boot camp, and that's apprenticeship. I'm not talking pre-apprenticeship. Those are great programs, and there's a lot of phenomenal pre-apprenticeship programs in your market, such as Portland Youth Builders, Constructing Hope, and Oregon Tradeswomen. But apprenticeship, registered apprenticeship, is different. So misused words. Here's another one, multitasking. Came out 20 years ago. It says you can do multiple things at the same time. Yes, maybe you can, but your brain can only focus on one. That's why texting and driving is illegal. So what is a registered apprenticeship program? It actually goes back to 1911 in the state of Wisconsin. And then finally in 1937, Congress passed the Fitzgerald Act, which is the National Apprenticeship Act. 2 weeks ago, the House of Representatives, under the new administration, passed H.R. 447 and kicked it over to the Senate, which is the revitalization of the 1937 Fitzgerald Act. So we're going to see, once it gets to President Biden's desk, we're going to see some incredible amounts of money that are coming down for more training. So ours is a collaboration between organized labor, the unions, our contractors, and training committees. And when I say registered, I mean it's registered. Our curriculum is registered with the federal and state departments of labor. So our programs are registered with the Oregon Bureau of Labor and Industries. And we're registered to get you to a standard. And that standard is becoming a journey worker. That's the gold standard. Just like your curriculum is to get you to become a high school graduate with a diploma. So the diploma is the standard. Ours is becoming a journey worker, where you're recognized worldwide as a subject matter expert. 15 different trades. Some of the trades have 3-year programs. Some have 5-year programs. Again, it depends on the trade. So I'll talk about ours. It is it's a 5-year program. The first component is Earn While You Learn. You're going to have 10,000 hours of on-the-job training. 10,000 hours of on-the-job training. That's 2,000 hours every year for 5 years. And that will be combined with 1,200 hours of technical instruction. You're going to go to class, basically one classroom session every other week. And you're also going to take some virtual training. You're going to take 19 courses online over 5 years. That's a commitment of about 8 to 10 hours a month. 15 different trades make up North American Building Trades Union. Because we stick together, because of our membership and solidarity. And I talked about those numbers, 355,000 members in the UA. The laborers, LEUNA has 500,000. Collectively, how many millions of people that are in the building trades, and we all contribute to our education fund, right? That's where some of the union dues come from. In 2019, NAP2 invested $1.6 billion in training and education. If we were a university system, we would be larger than any university system in America. We'd be 5 times larger than University of Oregon and Oregon State combined. So we train. The other thing that we do, and let me just jump into this. So every 6 months, basically the program is designed, you earn while you learn. Every 6 months, you're going to get promoted. As you pick up rank, you're going to get a pay increase. At the end of that 5-year program, when you become a journey worker, you'll be recognized with the gold standard. In addition, you're going to earn college credit with no debt. As a sprinkler fiddle, you will earn 32 college credits that we paid for. We pay for your books and we pay for your tools. So the next part of this presentation is I want to debunk some falsehoods that are out there today, and I want to just talk the truth. So Morpheus is going to help us kick off this part of the presentation.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
So let's talk about the truth. Maybe you've heard this statement, which I believe is false, that the only way for you to be successful is to get a white-collar job and a 4-year degree. Got to go to college, got to go to college. Well, 60% of Americans do not have college degrees. If your pathway and you are excited about going to college, I'm all for that. What I want everyone is to have a plan. And if college is not in your sights, there are opportunities for you to find success without doing that. And I'm going to show you some of the numbers. But here's something that's concerning, is there's 43 million adult Americans that currently carry a significant student loan debt. And I call that the den of debt. And on average, they borrow over $17,000. That's a loan payment of $380 a month. The other aspect is that some folks that get some of their degrees is when they graduate, they are not finding a high paying job, right? So they're working multiple jobs even though they have a college degree. And I call that getting stuck in the low wage lagoon. So we fight for unions. Again, there's 15 trades. We fight for representation, workplace safety. We fight for wage equity. So a woman journey worker is getting paid the same as a man journey worker. Doesn't matter what you look like, what your gender is, what your race is. It doesn't matter. As long as you are a journey worker or an apprentice, each level is paid exactly the same. That's called wage equity. But we fight for three things in collective bargaining, and they roll under what's called collective bargaining. And those three things are living wage, benefits for our members and families, and we fight for our members to have the opportunity to retire with dignity. So we do that by negotiating with our signatory contractors on behalf of the workers that we represent. And living wage is so important. So we're on this bus, right? And this roadway is clear, right? And we want people to get on the bus, but we don't want you to take the exit. And we don't want you to take a detour. What are some of the detours that keep you from finding success? One is minimum wage. So the average age of minimum wage workers is 35. It's not the young teenagers making minimum wage as an entry level. The average age of minimum wage workers is 35. Here's something else that's discerning. 50% of women are employed in low wage industries. 50%, and women make up 47% of the workforce. So here's this bus. The opportunities are for everyone. And one of the reasons why the opportunities are for everyone, and there's a lot of opportunities, is a generation called baby boomers is retiring. Remember what I shared with you, the UA is 355,000 members? Well, 73% of our membership is over the age of 53. That's that generation that's getting close to retirement. And they're going to call that the silver tsunami. When this generation retires, who's going to do the work? We have a need in the building trades for close to 800,000 workers in the next 5 years. So there's opportunity for everyone. So let's talk about living wage. What is that? Well, living wage, what we fight for, is giving you the ability to live in a market. Right? So each market or each area, like there's the Portland market, the New York market, the San Francisco market, you get my idea. The cost of living varies from one market to another. But overall, across the United States, over the last 20 years, the cost of rent, housing, right? We need a roof, right? We need housing. But the cost of rent has increased 30%. The cost of groceries or food we need to eat has increased 28%. The cost of healthcare premiums has increased 71%, right? We need healthcare premiums. So I'm talking medical, dental, vision, prescription, right? Imagine having a family where you don't have that, right? Because you can't afford that. That's where President Obama came out with Obamacare, because the cost of premiums started to skyrocket. The cost of going to college has increased in that same time frame, 36%. And in some cases, private institutions has increased over 60%. The cost of technology has increased 35%. So what technology am I talking about? I'm talking about broadband. I'm talking about your smartphone. What about wages? Well, unfortunately, the wages have not kept pace with that increase, right? That cost of living. So living wage is the wage you need to make in your market so you can afford these expenses. What about wages? Well, the top 10 percentile wage earners, their wages have increased right around 30%. The middle 50 has increased about 15%. Anything below that, it's less than 5, and in some cases, it's negative. So the wages are stagnant. The wages aren't keeping pace. So when unions say we fight for living wage, meaning that our wages are above what you need to earn in your market, we do, right? And we don't pay minimum wage, right? We're paying a living wage, and you're going to see that slide. And this is why the national conversation is on the minimum wage, increasing it. So we fight for a living wage. We also fight for benefits for our members and families. So another detour is people that don't have retirement. Who knows somebody that's in their 70s that's working because they have to, right? They can't afford to ever retire, so no retirement. Also, individuals that don't have benefits, medical, dental, vision. they're having to work multiple jobs. Those are detours or exits that keep you off the pathway to the road to the middle class. So here's a great piece here talking about living wage. As a sprinkler fitter, our starting wage from day one is $18.98 an hour. Remember, every 6 months you get a pay increase. After the first year, you're making close to 23 bucks an hour, and then it continues for 5 years. Journey workers at the end of 5 years are making $40.71 an hour. That's a living wage. Benefit package. And I have our benefit package is $24.78 an hour. So the contractors pay for the medical, dental, vision, prescription eyeglasses. Third piece, opportunity to retire with dignity. Quick question. What's better than one retirement plan? The answer is 2, or maybe it's 3. We have 2. You're going to get $115 a month in one pension for every year that you work. If you work 35 years, and some of you, most of us will work more than that, 35 times 115 is $4,040 a month. That's $48,000 a year, $48,300 a year. The second retirement, our contractors will contribute $7.83 an hour to a 401k or a SIS. It's called a SIS. That's your money. $7.83 times 40 hours in a week times 52 times 35 years. That's $570,000. You add a compounding interest rate to that, that's over $700,000. Not bad for being a sprinkler fitter, right? So again, what's the definition of a good job? Is that finding success? Well, I realize that not everything's about money, okay? So it comes down to worthwhile work. And the programs that you're in, maybe you like the hands-on aspect. You like to see your accomplishment. You like to be part of a team. You like to work outside. You like to use your hands. The other thing that union members do is we impact our community. We make a difference. A lot of folks get sidetracked on that pathway to success because they're in unfulfilled careers. They're not connected with their values. We protect our communities. You know, plumbing, as an example, goes back to the Egyptians. Local 669, we save lives. We're also called the Iron Firefighters because we're there before the first responders even get on the scene. The HVAC refrigeration techs, think about the impact they're going to have over the next couple years because of the pandemic with infectious disease and air quality and the upgrades on these systems and to replace ventilation systems that are in older buildings that need to be replaced for the safety of the communities. And let's talk about water quality, right? The UA is on the cutting edge of water quality. I'm going to show a portion of this video that talks about the UA's water quality program. And we have written the water quality program for the CDC.
Lead in the drinking water in Flint, Michigan leaves children at high risk for learning and behavioral problems. Disneyland shuts down bacteria-contaminated cooling towers after cases of Legionnaire's disease are discovered in people who had visited the park. 13 people died, and at least 61 residents and staff are sickened when Legionellosis is detected in a veteran's home in Illinois. New reports reveal that nearly 3,000 jurisdictions are facing water quality problems worse than Flint.
What is it? Is it the lead? Is it the Legionnaires? Is it the chemicals? And the answer is yes.
The emerging water crisis in America is revealing itself every single day.
To address America's water problems and to help find solutions, the UA created a pilot water quality program in 8 cities.
We needed to put together a policy brief to educate ourselves, to educate our unions, to educate our contractors, and to educate industry. We needed a certification program. The first certification is we're going to certify our contractors. Those contractors need to have the fundamentals in order to understand what they're selling. The second certification for our members.
It's a definite need out there. Water quality is very, very important throughout the country, and it's starting to be mandated by Medicare and Medicaid, and we feel as though we want to be on the front lines of that.
The water quality issue cuts across all crafts because sprinkler lines can infect somebody, cooling towers can affect somebody, so any UA craftsman, the service tech, the pipe fitter, the sprinkler fitter needs to be involved so that we can map systems, audit systems, monitor systems, and also the most important thing is to verify the work that's been done and then validate.
When I heard that it was going to be a more proactive approach, that's really exciting to me, because that means that we can not only make sure that we're taking good care of a client's facilities, but we can also protect people better than we have in the past.
Okay, I'm going to cut that video short. You can access and learn more on YouTube by going to the UA channel and just putting in UA water quality program. So just do a quick screenshot of that to learn more. So we give back. You know, we make an impact on our communities. So I'm going to shift gears. I'm going to show just a portion of day in the life. You're going to follow around 5 sprinkler fitter apprentices on the job site in the classroom, and you're going to actually see what we do.
Across the country, great opportunities exist for motivated individuals looking to begin a career as a sprinkler fitter through the UA Sprinkler Fitters Local Union 669 Joint Apprenticeship Training Committee. What is a sprinkler fitter? A piping specialist, highly trained to install life safety systems. The principal function of a sprinkler fitter is the installation of fire protection systems. This includes underground supply piping, which is connected to an integrated overhead piping system for suppression of fire. Do you have what it takes to be a sprinkler fitter?
Yeah, to me it is a real good feeling to know that, I mean, just in case there was a fire or something like that, that I could possibly save lives.
Every day is different for an apprentice sprinkler fitter. It's a dynamic career that calls for consistently implementing new approaches to problem solving. You're about to meet a group of real-world sprinkler fitter apprentices from across the country. These men and women are members of the UA Sprinkler Fitters Local Union 669 Joint Apprenticeship Training Committee, an advanced nationwide education and training program designed for today's advanced construction industry. These apprentices, and others like them, work on some of the largest and most important projects in the world, from hospitals and airports to massive data centers and nuclear facilities.
The day in the life of a sprinkler fitter. You know, I get up early.
I usually wake up around 5:30.
4:30 to 5:30, and that's depending on start time, distance from my house to the job.
Hit the road, drive about 40 minutes here, and start my day at 6.
Get there on time, so I'm 15 minutes early. You know, open the gang box and kind of find the plan for what the day is going to be. The current job site I'm on is pretty big. It's a parking garage right now, the levels are, and then there's office on top of that.
We're currently working on an industrial building that has a couple levels of office space.
Today I'm working in a fab shop. Typically what happens in a fab shop is you would cut, thread, or groove pipe required for a specific job.
Today on the job site, I actually set dimension lines for hanging branch lines. I also put some branch lines up as well.
We're working on installing this fire sprinkler system on one of the floors, roughing it in, getting it ready for future. You're not doing the same thing over and over. So, I mean, you can be doing one thing tomorrow in a totally different part of the building and doing something else the next day.
These young men and women are receiving their training through the UA Sprinkler Fitters Local Union 669 Joint Apprenticeship Training Committee.
Okay, I'm going to cut that video off, and I'm going to show you where you can access that. It's called Day in the Life. Another resource that I have is the UA's, again, that's the pipe trades, the Virtual Reality Career Experience app. So in this app, there's 20 interactive video scenes to explore. And you can pick a room that's the HVAC room. You can pick this pipe fitter, steam fitter room, a plumber room, the welder room, the sprinkler fitter room, and it'll take you through different activities. The HVAC room's pretty cool, where you're up on a rooftop and a helicopter comes in and it's dropping a unit right on the top of the building. So it's really, really, you know, cutting edge. 3 options for you. And there's the different rooms that you can see, and you just scan and you enter each room, and it takes you through the different scenes. You can go to Oculus if anybody's into that. I've got an Oculus. If I was in your classroom, I could show that to you. It's pretty wild. You can go to the Apple Store. You can go to Android. And you're going to just put in there, take a screenshot of this here, United Association Training Fund Virtual Reality. And I'd recommend everybody go to YouTube, dive into some of the weeds, be curious, go to a day in the life of a carpenter, day in the life of an iron worker, day in the life of a sheet metal worker, day in the life of a laborer, day in the life of, elevator constructor. So play around with that, do some research, check it out. Not everybody's going to be a sprinkler fitter, but again, there's 15 different opportunities for you. So I want to talk really quick, as we're closing out here. The United Association, again, that's the pipe trades, 355,000 members. In the last 2 years, we've had a 97% increase of women joining the UA. Women make up 47% of the workforce. And this is nothing new. My aunts in Chicago were building radios during World War II. They were Rosies. In the market you're in Portland, Vancouver, Vanport, where the massive Kaiser Permanente shipyard was located, women were working and building ships. They were building planes. They were building tanks, right? That's the Rosie the Riveter. So there's a huge focus on recruiting women into not only the sprinkler fitters, but the UA and the other trades itself. So we're going to follow around Anna Rigsby, and a number of the journey workers and apprentices in this video are actually from Portland and from the Portland area.
If someone told me construction was a man's job, I would say what I have always said, which is absolutely not. Women can do anything a man can do. I can do anything a man can do.
Anything that my brothers or my dad could do, I can do it just as well, as, if not better.
It seems like there's more and more of us out there, and I think that it's awesome for women to work with their hands and use their minds in different ways.
Want to be as passionate about your career as these women? Want a career that guarantees equal pay regardless of gender? We're looking for you. We're the Sprinkler Fitters Local 669 Joint Apprenticeship and Training Committee, also known as the JATC. All across the nation, infrastructure, property, and lives are protected thanks to the work of well-trained and highly skilled sprinkler fitters. We're currently seeking motivated women from all backgrounds to join our apprenticeship program, learning the skills needed to start a rewarding career as a sprinkler fitter.
Honestly, I thought it was sprinklers, like ground sprinklers. Oh, you mean like fire sprinklers? And they were like, yeah, it's an apprenticeship, so it's not just a job, it's a career.
We'll train you to install and maintain fire protection systems, including commercial and industrial structures, power plants, hospitals, factories, and more.
I think that a sprinkler fitter helps the firefighters out in the sense that we're kind of the first line of defense.
It's a means of exiting safely if and when there happens to be a fire.
Sprinkler fitters work hard to ensure that the potentially tragic...
Okay, I want to get to a couple more slides. Again, that video, you can access that at training669.org. So here's the process, right? You have to be 18, you have to have a high school diploma, GED, you have to pass a drug test, you have to pass a physical, and you have to be physically able to do the work. Our trade has open enrollment, meaning that we start apprentices throughout the year. Some trades, they have a big apprenticeship class that starts typically in the June timeframe. You will come in, you're hired by a contractor. After you're hired by a contractor, then you join our local, then you start the apprenticeship program. And I can help you if you have an interest as far as what do you need to prepare for in the interview process. In the course, talking to your phenomenal CTE program is that information to help you prepare as far as, okay, what are things that I can do to prepare myself for that next step to become marketable, to get myself in? Because you talk those living wages, it's like, who the heck wouldn't want that, right? Who wouldn't want two retirement plans, right? So it becomes competitive, and you're ranked in interviewing and ranked against the other folks. In our case, our contractors hold the rank list, right? And you get points, for your educational background, and we're looking for technical education, your work experience, and then your oral interview. So that's the process, and I can dive deeper into that one-on-one, and then also your faculty and staff will have information. But really quick though, Cornell University, so that's one of the Ivy League schools back east. They cited in the Wall Street Journal 2 years ago that the #1 pathway into the middle class over the last 100 years has been union apprenticeship programs. And the reason why is that we fight for a living wage, benefits for our members and families, and the opportunity for our members to retire with dignity, right? So there's 3 parts to that. It's not just about the wage, it's the benefits and the retirement as well. So here, just to close, I want to thank you for all your attention and your courtesy of being on time and your engagement. This is my contact information. That's my cell phone. You can feel free to reach out to me. Take a screenshot of that. I ask you to text me, because I'll get back to you quicker. That's my email address. And there's the website, training669.org, and you'll learn more about us. But I'd go to YouTube, again, explore. Just be curious. Another place to go is the Bureau of Labor and Statistics report from the Federal Department of Labor, where you can go in and plug in a career and see what the job growth is. What does it look like in 5 years? How many folks are going to be hired? How many are going to retire? So that actually helps you, right? That's pretty sophisticated, database site. And there's my social media. You can follow. I got some really cool videos from job sites on there. One recently that was from a drone inside of a Amazon facility that we're building in central New York. So that's all I have. Again, I want to thank you for the time. Is there any questions as we're winding down?
I maybe have one.
Okay.
Maybe, Tim, you could just share with the students a couple things they could do while in high school to, ramp up their marketability in an apprenticeship program. And obviously they have a leg up on others that aren't in CTE programs. But other than that, what could they do?
That's a great question. And I always ask that, what do I need to do? I think there's a lot of soft skills that everyone needs to continue to work on. Right? So reliability is very important. Hard work and your work ethic. I mean, we're on the job site at 6 o'clock in the morning. We work hard, so getting that work experience, even if it's just a little bit, and finding out, okay, am I going to be able to work outside in the elements? The other aspect is the more CT programs you can take, the more valuable you are. So again, there's 15 different trades. The electrician's a little bit different because that's a little different part of the brain, but for the most part, we're talking hand-eye coordination, right? Nobody heard, maybe you heard because you have a family member of the Sprinkler Fitters Union before today, right? So if you have hand-eye coordination and you're good with tools and hand tools, and let's face it, in some of the classes you're in, that there's friends of yours that aren't in these classes, and if you put a tool in their hand, you are jumping underneath a desk because you're going to hide, right? Because you don't want to get hurt. So we look for individuals that are mechanical, that like that, because it's all motivation. So don't be afraid to try. Don't be afraid to take, maybe a summer camp, a summer boot camp, take an adult program, an after school program. Take something outside of your comfort zone so you can explore and you can learn. So those are the things at your age that I would recommend that you're doing, and to prepare, do some research, go on YouTube. Right, and ask a lot of questions and push back to your teachers and say, okay, what would you do? Can you help me out with this? Can we get Tim back in here, or can we have another trade come in here and talk more about what they do for a living? So there's a lot of things that you can do, and there's a lot of things that we can do from our end, but a lot of it you got to bring to the table yourself, and there are resources to help you with that, including me. So I'll answer any questions that anyone has offline,
Thank you so much for making the time. That was super valuable information. Hopefully the students found that to be, maybe it sparked an interest that you never knew was there. Hopefully.
Right.
That's the idea.
Yeah. And that's all we want to do is create awareness. So I want to thank everybody again.
And definitely,
Appreciate it.
circle back to your teachers too, and they can get those questions to Tim. So yes, thanks for being a great audience, and have a great rest of the day.
Yep. See you all tomorrow, guys. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Everybody
you.
have a great day.
Bye.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank
Dave.
you.
It's a great class.